Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bodied, a Cloud9 fancast. As always, I'm your host, Havoc Puss, and I'm joined by Frozen Creek. How are you doing today, Frozen?
I'm doing pretty well. Our heat wave kind of died off, but I actually went for a walk outside yesterday on the street and completely cut up my feet, which was probably the dumbest thing I've done in a while. So now I have...
How did you cut up your feet?
Oh, because I wasn't wearing shoes.
Why weren't you wearing shoes?
Because I'm going camping this weekend, and last year when we went on the tube, I sunburnt my feet so badly that they were burnt for like a week. So I was like, hey, I'll walk outside without shoes on and try to make it so my feet don't get sunburned. And instead, I just absolutely tore up the bottom of my feet and
You're
blistered.
just unlucky with going barefoot.
Well, I don't do it often. I'm just an idiot. And now it's probably going to take a week or two for my feet to heal. But that's my own fault. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm finally cleared to go back to work whenever I have to actually go back to work, so that's good.
I'm feeling I'm feeling another feeling of Corona coming on.
Exactly. Just call my boss like right as soon as I'm about to come on. Oh yeah, I don't know what happened, boss. I'm not feeling good again. I gotta take myself out, get tested again.
Yeah, caught the.
I'm at my dad's visiting him because I haven't seen him in like almost 5 months. So, I thought it'd be good to. I'm officially sort of in my schedule and my downtime. Thought I'd go and visit him a little bit since I have been able to really travel or see him in a hot minute.
Oh, nice. Well, that's good. Back into the old Alabama.
It's very hot.
Oh, I'm sure.
The summers here are pretty brutal. You mentioned that you had a heat wave here. It's just heat wave for the entire season.
Yeah, I think I might know what the difference is, though. I think when it's hot up north, they're like, oh yeah, it's hot. Let's all go outside and spend hours and hours in 95-degree heat. Where down south, they're like, no, we're not dumb. We're just going to go sit inside.
Exactly.
I think that's the big difference.
Yeah. We have like a really nice time frame of like when it's spring and falls where it's like, oh, it's warm out, but it's not warm enough to where I would die. Then it gets cold, and then it's like, it's like, oh, it's 50 degrees outside. No, thank you. I'm gonna stay inside where it's warm.
Yeah, I kind of wish we did that, but our falls and springs aren't as nice. But since we're on a weather kick, I would like to take a look up at the clouds because I do see 9 of them. And
ooh, nice.
Forget I said that, but I'm trying
nice
to transition. That was a really bad transition.
That was really rough. I'm not gonna lie.
But that's why we're here, is to talk about the Cloud9.
Let's kick things off. We got a nice little PUBG Mobile update. The boys started off the MWL season. This is, I guess, season 0 is what it's being called. I guess it's the first time they're doing this, but they ended day 1 in 7th place, which is pretty great. I tried to watch a little bit of it, but as soon as I tuned in, it was apparently going to a map where their group wasn't playing, so I kind of forgot to watch it. A lot of it. But
I actually did watch. Actually, I don't want to say I watched, but I had it on in the background for the first map they were on. They did really well on that map. They got second behind Tempo Storm, which I feel like Tempo Storm has just always been good at PUBG.
they've definitely been kind of a PUBG.
Yeah, so at least on what I saw, they did well. So good news. But yeah, you said that the production value on PUBG Mobile is insane, and it's actually like really good.
It's really good, right?
A mobile game that had maybe 500 people watching.
It's weird. They have like so much like production value and everything for like a mobile game. Like you would think that it wouldn't be at like good. It's like, oh wow, it's not just some people sitting at home in front of a webcam. It's legitimately like have a green screen studio and they have these stat graphics and other people talking and they cut away to the casters and they have a whole thing going on. And it's really surprising.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of a souped up version of what was that mobile esport that we were in the card game?
It was I think it was Clash of Clans.
Yeah,
No, it was Clash Royale. That's what it was.
Clash Royale. Yeah, where they had a really good production too.
They had like a studio. They had like a legitimate like studio that people would come in and sit down to play in.
Yeah, and for some reason, the mobile games have a better production value than like all of CS:GO outside of the big events.
Or NA LCS production in general.
Oof.
But yeah, it's pretty neat. I'm hoping that our PUBG team, our mobile team is actually fairly good, which is also weird. Who knew that we really a vein of talent in that market?
Yeah, and it was cool to see. I do know that all of the PUBG people could destroy me if I was on PC and they were playing on mobile because I am atrocious at royales.
It must be killer on your thumbs though, because you're always having to tap and stuff with your thumbs on your phone. So it's you're always just like having to hold it and like tap constantly. I don't know if I could play that for forever.
Yeah, me neither. Or they just do like a bunch of thumb workouts to keep them
doing their
shape.
thumb crunches,
as opposed to like having super buff arms or pecs. They just have these thumbs that are like twice the size,
grotesquely muscular hands.
Yeah, I imagine that's what it's like. But I'm talking about big muscles. Rainbow Six. This is something I watched. Rainbow.
I actually turned it off.
Yeah, Rainbow Six was playing in the APACL, and they were playing Fnatic. They were down 6-1. And Fnatic was on match point at 6. And then Cloud9 came back all the way, won 7 straight rounds in overtime, or counting overtime, and won the match against Fnatic 8-6. So you shut that off. It was actually insane. Going into the
game
last
so
round,
lost at that point. You can't blame me. When we were I shut it off when we were at 1-5. I'm like, well, Fnatic's just really good, and we've always kind of struggled against teams outside of Korea. So I'm just gonna shut this off. I don't want to just lose. This is kind of painful. And then I just didn't get the match notification that it was over. Then I checked the Discord like an hour or so later, and it's just like, oh my god, we won! Like,
yeah, it was wild. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I knew anything that was going on, but I was watching it.
Yeah, that's the thing with Rainbow Six. I know like absolutely nothing about it. Like it's that and like probably PUBG Mobile in terms of like what we have right now in terms of 9 esports. Those are the two things that I know the least about. So you're just watching people like pick like the characters, and you're listening to the casters like describe like what's going on and everything. It all just sounds like gibberish, and then you're trying to watch it, and you're just seeing people run around this like house, basically, just shooting at walls, and it's just like this just looks like a game for crazy people.
Yeah, and it very much is. But yesterday, meaning Tuesday, Cloud9's Rainbow Six team was the craziest of them all, in a good way.
Big props to them. They're usually a good team in Korea, and it's great to see that they're beating like a non-Korean team, just because usually, in terms of shooters, like Asian teams really aren't that good because they don't. It's just not a scene that they usually get into. It's really cool to see that we beat Fnatic, because Fnatic's, I think, usually a good team. I think they usually beat us whenever we play against them. So it was great to see us beat Fnatic of all teams. Moving on, we have some exciting Valorant news, and I was especially pumped at this. So Valorant, I guess, Tens, Relics, and their 3 friends participated in the Pulse Invitational and we actually climbed up all the way to second place. We ended up beating TSM in the quarterfinals, which I was actually dreading that match because TSM is ranked like, oh, they're like the number one team in the country, or if not the world, and they're insane. The team goes out on the first map, which was Ascent. We beat them 13-1. You know, we blind, I think 7-13, and then we beat them in the final map on Haven, like 13-10 on an eco round, which was also the other crazy part. And so we beat TSM. We played against Terrific, who's now Team Envy. We beat them 2-0, and then we had to play Genji in the finals, and we lost 0-2. But in the grand scheme of things, placing second at this event is a pretty big deal, especially the last couple of events. The team didn't really look all that great.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it because it was going on during LCS, I think.
It was going on during the weekend.
Yeah, so I did get to watch both matches live, but normally weekends are bad for me to watch things just because I like to do things on weekends. But I wish I got to see this because it seems super hype, and everyone on the subreddit was super stoked about it.
It was a really good event, and it was a really good performance. I think that Mitch and like everyone stepped up. Obviously, like Tens was insane. Like he does things on Jet that don't look humanly possible within the game. He's just like zipping around and jumping up and doing all this crazy stuff, hitting and like shooting people with the judge. Mitch did like above expectations. He looked super great. I was even at one point adding C9 and being like, look, you need to sign Mitch because he's really good and can probably be another like permanent addition to the team. But then Ice was also playing really well on the Cypher. Shinobi was, he wasn't fragging out, but he was playing really well. Also, everyone, including like the three guys, just playing super great. I think everyone was also playing on comfort picks, which I think helped a lot. It wasn't doing like some weird thing where it's like not doing like a sageless draft, or they're playing like breach, something that's super weird. They're sticking to their comfort picks of Tens is on Jet, Toby's playing Sage, and Vice is playing Cypher, and Vice is in the lineup again instead of Poach or whoever else they were playing with. But they looked really good and they looked really solid. And I think that if they're playing in the 30 Bomb Invitational next week, and if they look good in that, I think C9 could really just sign this 5 squad and keep them. Maybe if also get a coach. I know that there's observational issues in the game right now in terms of spectating, like have a coach watch. But I think if they get a coach, it would also be a really big help to them. But they looked really good in this event, and I was really happy for it.
Yeah, and any win over TSM is a good win. So,
that
4-0 tournament and a win over TSM plus 10.
And before we kind of switch topics and go to our second half of the episode, I do also want to posit some interesting rumors that did pop up over the weekend. It could be that C9 is also looking to sign a Korean Valorant team. This isn't a strategy that's unheard of. C9's done it before with like our Fortnite or PUBG team. We've done it with Rainbow Six. We've done it with Overwatch. We've done it a few times. And it's interesting that we might be doing it with Valorant. So how this came about was over the weekend, Bozzy, who people might recognize as a former Hangzhou Spark DPS player, and Moothy, who is a former Apex Legends player. They briefly changed like their headliners on Twitter to saying that they were Valorant players for Cloud9. And everyone's like, oh, that's kind of weird. There was an announcement for it. So it could be that a deal was made or something. It hasn't been announced yet, but they jumped the gun. It could be that we got a Korean roster as well. I tried to do some digging as well to see exactly else we would be signing if that was true. I couldn't see anything to, yeah, if it was fake or not, but was able to find like roster that they played with as a sort of unsigned Korean team, and I had never really heard of any of these guys, which kind of makes sense. But it was like Uzi, Bozzy, Buzz, I pronounce one of the other names, but it was really interesting. They placed second at like this VALORANT, event that they did in Korea. Uh, so it's really interesting. I'm going to try to keep an eye on it, but it could be that we're going to actually have two VALORANT rosters, then have that thing of maybe seeing which one's better or what have you. But a very interesting kind of development that kind of happened over the weekend.
Yeah, that would be pretty hyped to start to see some kind of shooting strategy games pick up in Korea and around the rest of the world. I think Riot making a game like that might be the tipping point, because there really aren't any Asian CS:GO teams.
There are a few, but there's definitely not a lot. I think that
or major teams either.
I think that people will Korea at least will maybe flock more towards Valorant because there are people from Korea that were kind of joking that it's very similar to this game called Sudden Attack. Sudden Attack is sort of like a tactical CS:GO type shooter. It was really popular over there, and it might still be popular now. I have no idea, but it seemed to be kind of similar to Sudden Attack, so it could be that a lot of Korean players flock to that. Who knows? I don't know the exact interest, per capita or whatever of tactical shooters in Korea versus other types of games. But if we can build a fan base leveraging off of our brand as well as getting some really good talent and winning a bunch in Korea, that would be really cool. Hopefully we get an announcement or some kind of news soonish. I really hate having to sit on rumors and just be like, well, what's the deal with that? And then nothing happens or it takes a while.
Yeah, and it would be cool news to have us extend our reach to another up and coming game in somewhere like Korea also. So cool
Yeah,
news.
I'd really like to be more of a forerunner in establishing a game's presence rather than jumping on after it's already kind of a thing. So that would be really, really dope.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, since we are finished talking about Valorant, I guess we can move on to our League of Legends talk. Frizen, do you want to start off talking about the show match, since I guess that's what happened sequentially?
Yeah, and that was probably the most important match of them all. I found out after the fact that Sneaky was streaming comms during the whole game, and I'm kind of sad I didn't know that going in, because I think I would have watched that stream instead.
I was bouncing back and forth. I tried to do a thing where I would get commentary from I think it was maybe Flowers and Kobe, or Flowers and Azale. I can't remember who, but I would switch from like I listened to some commentary, and then I'd be like, okay, now let's listen. Now let's go to the comms, and then I'd mute that stream, and then mute or unmute Sneaky's stream, and then I'd listen to some of that. But it was a really fun event. I actually really liked it. Not simply because the team won. But I think that the show match was a really fun thing to do. Like how they built it up was really great. I think just giving us like a fun little kind of like opener to Friday Night League, as opposed to like, okay, we'll watch a bunch of these academy games that are going on all at once, and then in like an hour or so, we're just going to do a couple of matches tonight. It was a good way to kind of build you up towards something that was going on. And I thought it was really great. I really hope that they do more of these sort of, blast from the past show matches or whatever, because I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool event. I was really kind of, I guess I'm not surprised to see TSM try hard in draft.
Yeah, the draft was kind of lame on their part. It was kind of disappointing.
I feel like it's lame, but it's probably the most TSM thing that you could do.
Yeah.
Is try hard.
It was great. It
Still.
was great to see like the old players kind of team up again. It was really interesting that they still kind of have it. Like Balls hasn't been seen in like forever, but he was like hard carrying on Silas, and Sneaky Elimination still looked pretty good. You know, playing together, and their Ashe Zyra combo still holds up as like a really strong duo lane. I would really be interested to see like how strong C9 Classic would actually hold up if they were just to play with each other in an LCS spot.
I think realistically it wouldn't be a good team. I think a lot of it is nostalgia, just because this team was
True.
the best in the West at one point in time. I mean, I think if you were to maybe take Meteos, Sneaky, maybe have highest coach, I think Balls and Elimination are a bit past it, and I don't think they would survive LCS, all things considered, because it's not like they were going up against great competition either.
Yeah, that could be true. I was mostly just surprised at how well Balls looked, since he hadn't streamed in like 6 months and no one really knew where he was. But apparently he had like some secret Nerf account that no one knows about, but he's like challenger on. So,
Oh, okay. So maybe he's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. It was just interesting that like no one knew exactly where he was sitting at for the longest time. But it was really fun. I really liked it. It was a really enjoyable event. Certainly the nostalgia factor and everything really helped with that. And I actually really do hope that they do more of these show matches. I'd love to see like a team owners show match, or like have I don't know, old teams come back, from previous seasons, or just do fun things. Maybe have some fun game modes tossed in, just to kind of get people ready to watch League of Legends, rather than just kind of dryly, hey, here's the first match of tonight.
Yeah, and because that whole hour or two between the Academy and Friday Night League is a really weird.
It's just like dead air, or they just kind of like
pointless.
Yeah, like having something exciting like that, or bringing fun stuff back, like the Scion Super Speedway. Like that was the thing that was really fun, and they only did that like a season, like a split, and then they got rid of it. Like I'd love to see that, or like a mini like window dodgeball tournament. Just fun game modes and some fun show matches to really just kind of like, okay, it's something that I can watch. It's fun. It's getting me ready to kind of watch some LCS on a Friday night, and I think that's the kind of content that NA Productions kind of looking for, since they've been kind of using Friday Night League as like their experiment rounds to kind of like do things to see how people would react, and so far it hasn't really worked out.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, I'm not sure that's the way forward. I still just think a lot of the people around the world who watch LCS can't tune in on Friday.
Yeah,
so they do see a viewership drop from that. But I also don't love the Friday night spot, just because I go out and do things and hang out with my friends or my girlfriend. So I don't.
Look at you
really
bragging that you have a stable life. Look at you, Mister.
I don't have a stable life. I just have a. I just have a semblance of a life.
I'm certainly not bothered by it. I actually kind of like it, just because it's sort of like it gets me kind of ready for the weekend to be like, all right, it's Friday Night League. It's the first night of the weekend, and I'm that's just me.
Yeah, I really like Monday Night League a lot more, but I guess
Monday Night League was fine.
I much prefer that, because I was always home. I could sit and watch, and it was fun. But I guess if they keep including dumb show matches that are just for fun, I think I could get behind it.
Yeah, I could definitely get behind that. We'll have to see how it goes. If they continue to do it, I'd be all for it. But I guess moving on, we can talk about our matches that happened this weekend. We can start off with the TSM games. That was probably the well, they were both kind of big in their own way. But we'll start with the good first, since good is good. We beat TSM in a pretty good game, and it's always good to beat TSM.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, after seeing Sunday, I'm still skeptical about that draft. I don't know. I just don't feel like putting Sven on Wukong is the best use of his skills when there are 2, maybe 3 other players who could also play it. But
Yeah,
yeah, but their draft direction was kind of a bit odd, and Reaper seems to be drifting towards the safe kind of strategy of playing late game, like Azir. It's just kind of weird.
it was definitely an interesting draft. I kind of, on one hand, I really did like that they were super flexing everything, because it was kind of like, well, we don't know who's going to play what. But kind of kept TSM in this weird spot of not knowing what to do. I do agree. Putting Sven on Wukong is kind of weird, considering that he can be flexed like all over the place, which I guess this is kind of what it's showing, and it kind of shows that it's just another place that we can put Wukong. But I kind of agree that you'd probably want either Licorice or Blabber, or hell, even Vulcan, since you can apparently play at support, to maybe be the one taking the Wukong instead, since that seems to be a better aspect of their role. But I mean, Sven hard carried that game. Like, he was doing really well, once the laning phase got over with, and he had to stop being punished by the Varus poke. I think he did a good job there. And Licorice did an amazing job on Ornn. I think that his Ornn, especially once he got into that unkillable range, especially with the comp that TSM had, it was pretty much over. My only issue with that game is that, and this kind of will bleed over into how we talk about the 100 Thieves game, but Blabber's tank jungle play is unideal, because he plays it at the same speed as he would be playing like Olaf or Lee Sin or something like that, more of a carry jungler. He just doesn't do as much damage. You're not going to do all that much damage on like a Set or a Volibear or, tank J4. But he's going and he'll make the same similar style engages without that much damage, and then he'll just die or get super punished for it. And that's something that's kind of weird. I'm not sure if they're experimenting or seeing like how far his tank play can go, or see if we're comfortable with him playing tank junglers. I'm not really sure what the deal is. But it's something that I did notice, and Set jungle is just kind of weird, and I don't think it fits Blabber's playstyle, because if you don't get that face breaker off, you're pretty much, the gank is over. You can't really go and chase after that, because you're slow, and especially if it's before level 6 and you don't have your ultimate, you're just kind of pointless. And it's like, I guess I'll go back to farming camps, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I didn't hate it that the Set pick all that much. I feel like that is a decent pick to play into the jungle right now.
No, it worked out fine.
Yeah, it wasn't
I'm not saying
ideal.
I'm not saying it didn't work out or it wasn't ideal. I'm just saying that his play specifically, he looks not as good because he's not farming as quickly, and his engages aren't as good because he's trying to do a lot with a lot less. Really.
Yeah, and I think it kind of fits into the bruiser kind of style that he plays, but it's not really a run at you kind of character like Olaf is, or Lee Sin is, or where it's flashy mechanics and stuff like that. I don't think it's too far out of the region of what he plays, but I think he earned another attempt at playing it on stage if he likes it. I do think that the team played really well around Bjergsen's LeBlanc, who really should have just hard carried that game because he was super strong at 15 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, like he was able to like one shot Niski. I remember he was 1v1ing him when they kind of did lane swaps and they were doing like a 1-3-1 kind of deal in the mid game. And Niski was like under tower, but Bjergsen was able to land the chain, and since LeBlanc has a lot of safety, he's just able to pop him in like a few spells. And it was I'm surprised, but also really glad that we were able to leverage the picks that we had against the advantage that Bjergsen kind of like created for himself. So it was really good to see there. Broken Blade's Mordekaiser play was really weird. I'm not sure how much you noticed
Garbage.
that he rarely used his ultimate, which was so odd to me that he didn't use it to either try to get out of ganks or to take one of the targets from C9 out so TSM would have a temporary 5v4 and leverage some of their advantages. It was really odd.
Yeah, like I feel like he never ulted Sven on Wukong, and I don't know for sure that you can do this. I've never tried, but people on Reddit were saying that Mordekaiser can ult the Ornn and mess up the second half of his ult. So I don't think we ever saw him do either of those, and
No, he really didn't. I will say that really I think he only has a few targets that I think would actually be good to ult. It's kind of a catch-22 of whoever he ults really doesn't help their cause a lot. Because say he, if he ults Ornn, okay, C9's tankiest member is down, but that doesn't stop. You're out of the fight, and that's not stopping Sven or Blabber or Niski from hitting the backline, right? If you take out Sven or Niski, there's still significant damage on the table. Plus, you're having this unkillable Ornn just walk at you and use his ultimate to engage you and mess you up. Like he solo killer like 1v1 to Erickson almost. I remember at one point, like he was just so strong and durable. I think Broken Blade was just in a situation of they just didn't have really a good member to really target, especially when the game got to a point to where they're getting Ornn items. They are starting to actually win team fights because they have better scaling, and TSM's comp was really cut off at a point to where either you get strong and win for a certain point in time, and they were past that window. So it was kind of Broken Blade was screwed either way.
Yeah, and because a TSM went AP top and AP mid, it put Licorice in a good spot to build resistances against them too, which super helped. And it also really helped that Speed could just harden into that game almost.
Yeah, he was in our jungle in some really weird times where he would just be in there and then he would just get caught out and die. And it was really odd. Like Spica has some weird games where like he'll do really well and will hard carry, and there'll be other games where he's just like he's dying and he's not really being much of a help.
Yeah, and maybe he expected more help from the Varus and the LeBlanc, but it looked super troll from him at the time.
I think it's more troll that Double Lift built a lethality build, considering that he's never realistically going to kill Ornn or Set. With that build, and I think with Wukong, he could maybe kill Wukong or Azir, but those are the only two targets that he would really realistically, I think, be able to execute. It seemed really weird that he went for that kind of build, considering what he was going up against.
Yeah, but I don't think the Varus, the poke Varus, is really used in that way at this point.
No, it's definitely more of a win lane, win game kind of situation, especially when he was going up against Wukong Senna, who can't really fight in a lane like they had.
Yeah, and Varus is super good around Baron on red side as a poke champion. So I think if they hadn't thrown the game before 20 minutes, if they were able to get if they were able to control Baron with a fed LeBlanc and a Varus that's ahead, that they would have done some serious damage to our team, because Sven, Vulcan, and Niski would have took some serious poke from those two champions alone.
Yeah, that's true. What is your thought on tactical, or not tactical, Treats, that's his name. They both start with T. What are your thoughts on Treats starting in over Biofrost for this week?
Honestly, I haven't watched much of Treats, but it's weird because the double frost lane was supposed to be like the dominant NA bot lane, like reunited, experienced lanes and all this garbage. And I mean, they haven't been bad, but they haven't really been good. Like Double Lift isn't having that kick-ass split that everyone else predicted. So
Yeah,
maybe it
it's
is an
really
upgrade,
weird.
but maybe
Um,
not.
yeah, it's like you said, they haven't been super good, but they haven't been super bad either. I've heard that Treats is insane as a support. Doublelift is kind of fickle about who he plays with as a support, and if he really starts to kind of struggle and not have as good of a game, I think he starts to lean towards I need to play with somebody else. Because if you look at all the supports he's played in, whenever he struggles and whenever he does bad, they don't really last long. Because like when he played with Yellowstar, he hated Yellowstar, and Yellowstar was pretty much gone. He played with Ole, and then Ole was pretty much gone really quickly because he hated playing with Ole. And the same thing went for Biofrost. I think last time he was on TSM, and when he struggled, look what happened with Team Liquid. He played with RJJ, and they were doing really good. But then like the one split where he looks completely terrible, he's just gone. I think that's just how Doublelift operates. And if you don't deliver, Doublelift pretty much says no second chances. You're done.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know enough about Treats to know if he's the answer, but a lot of people on Reddit are super hyped about him. So I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but it's an answer, but I'm not sure if it's the one they're looking for yet.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see if he can help TSM look a bit better, because, and this is something that I've noticed all split. It's the TSM in the matches that they've won, they really struggle to win, and it takes a while. And when they lose, they just kind of fall apart, and they just really can't get themselves back to win. So they're really weird right now. I'm not sure if subbing in Breeds is really the answer, but we'll have to see how they do for the second half of the round robin. I don't have any more thoughts on that. Do you want to transition over to the 100 Thieves game?
Just one last thing.
Okay.
Fuck TSM. All right, continue.
Okay. So the 100 Thieves match was really interesting. We did lose. And I'm of two minds about it. On the one hand, we're still 9-1, and it's not that bad that we lost, considering first loss of the season. We're still in first place. On the other hand, we lost. Our loss was really ugly, and I think that was all because of how we were drafting. I really think, and Blabber even said this in an interview. He said basically in hindsight that the J4 pick was really bad, and they really shouldn't have done that. And I agree with that. I think that the J4 pick was just not what the team wanted to go for. Like, I haven't seen any jungler, at least in North America. I'm not sure about other regions, but at least in North America and Europe, I haven't seen anyone play J4. And with what we had chosen, it seemed to just counteract like everything. Like, what does Jace really do with J4? I guess he can easily shoot skill shots into the pit, but it's not necessarily helping J4 or the team. Wukong can't really hit anyone inside the pit. Sure, Cassiopeia can stop them from flashing out with the miasma, but you're still just like locking someone in a pit, and if you're not getting kills early and getting ahead, J4 is a really slow clearer and all, and pretty much once he goes in. So it just didn't seem to work with what the team really had drafted and what they were wanting to do.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of a big brain draft from 100 Thieves. I think the Galio was a little bit
I think we were wanting to do a bounce house Galio comp, and I think when they recognized that with the J4,
very telegraphed.
Yeah, they were like, whoa, they were gonna pick Galio for Niski. And I think our comp maybe would have worked, and it probably would have worked a lot better if we had just taken Galio earlier.
Yeah, we didn't have to.
Yeah, we didn't have to wait till last minute. I think that by us doing that, we pretty much showed our hand, and then they used the Galio and Camille picks really well to kind of work against pretty much what we were trying to do. And as soon as J4 goes into Cataclysms, he can't go anywhere, and then so Galio and Camille can just dive in, and then you're pretty much dead. There's no thing out of that.
Yeah, and they didn't have to draft the J4 so early in the draft. I'm not even sure when they picked it, but because they could have picked that 4th or 5th, and it would have hid their intentions if they had gone Sven, or if they would have gone Wukong Senna and then gone Jace. But I don't know. It's weird, but I really think that the biggest thing that killed us was what happened in the Someday Licorice matchup. If I remember correctly, Licorice hit level 3 late, so Someday was able to take a huge trade on him and put him extremely far behind, and that snowball with the bad gank just kind of added up and added up and added up, and it came to a point where Niski was going top to try and help out, but he was leaving waves mid.
And you really can't do that on Cassiopeia, who really needs armed because she's such a.
Yeah.
You need to get a lot of items because she does an insane amount of damage if you can get there. But if you're abandoning waves on the Cassiopeia, you're just kind of crippling yourself. And yeah, I think our solo lanes kind of made some mistakes, and it didn't help with the picks that were given. Licorice's Jace is weird, in that he just makes a lot more mistakes than usual. I don't know what it is about Jace, but he just seems to make a lot more mistakes, at least in terms of lane. Like when he's playing and fighting with the team, he's fine. But when it comes to him laning as Jace, he makes a lot of weird choices. He makes a lot more mistakes than usual on any other champion that he picks. And I'm not sure what it is about Jace that just messes him up.
Yeah, and I've never liked his Jace. I've said that before. I know I have. I don't think
you definitely have.
He lanes all that well with it. Jace is supposed to be like a hard stomp lane kind of champion, and then you get to a point where you're too big to be stopped. And I don't think he's ever really gotten there, especially on his own, where you would kind of expect a actual Jace player to do it in lane. And I don't think his team fighting us all that well. But it also didn't really make I guess it kind of makes sense into the comp. But once Contractz got ahead, it was really just GG, because how are you gonna stop him besides sacrificing J?
Yeah, they literally had no tools to stop Olaf from running. They had really no escapes. The only thing they could do really was to have Blabber Cataclysm on him, but then Blabber just dies. And then the thing that I was really questioning was when they were drafting, they had Olaf and Yuumi available. Why not just go for Olaf Yuumi? Why not go for your best picks? Why I have to go for this weird draft of you having to go for J4 and do this weird bounce house Galio composition when you could have just done an Olaf comp, and that's your best thing. That's the thing that's always banned against you, because you know that Blabber is just an absolute monster when he gets Olaf. I was really curious why. I guess it's so they can experiment, and they're wanting to try out new things, so they can figure out what's good and what's bad when going into playoffs, to have a more denser strategy pool. But I don't know. It just kind of bugged me that they had an alley-oop, easy bucket kind of composition that they could have drafted for themselves, but then they chose not to opt into it and instead gave it over to Contractz and 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and it didn't really feel like an experimental draft in any way, shape, or form to me. I guess the super dive hard engage team comp maybe, but Licorice seems to like to play Jace. Cassiopeia is one of Niski's most famous champions, despite the fact he doesn't get it on stage much. And that I feel like there were better ways to go about trying things on stage rather than that. But I guess the good thing is that they have games to lose because they're so far ahead. But it just sucks to see it end so troll.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they made some drafting mistakes. And I think that's really what cost them the game ultimately. Um, on the good news, or I guess on the good side, they did lose, so this has a lot of room for them to kind of look and see, like, okay, where did we go wrong? How can we improve? Because up until then, no team had really been challenging us. So like, if we're constantly winning, regardless of what we pick, we're just gonna pick whatever we want, right? We're gonna feel like we can just pick whatever and we'll win. I think now that we've lost, we can see, okay, what's working, what's not, what mistakes are we really making, and how can we fix things? You know, and I think that it's better to lose now and really see what our issues are rather than we don't really know what our issues are and it's like our playoff matches tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck in between. Um, I'm hoping that the players can stay motivated because I feel like once you actually do lose, like there's is not a huge record that you're trying to set, and it just becomes like, oh yeah, we just need to win half of our games now to finish out the split, and we still have to play Dig, Immortals, and Golden Guardians and stuff. So it sucks, but I guess if we were gonna lose, I'm glad it was against 100 Thieves as opposed to any other team because I still have a soft spot for Contractz. The guys at 100 Talk are super nice, and their whole community was super stoked on during their podcast recording on Twitch. I checked in on that, and all they had were good things to say. So
Oh yeah, I bet, and I think also it's good to just see Contractz improving and playing like the player he is, and we knew he was. He had like a really rough patch being on Golden Guardians for a little while, and he kind of struggled for a little bit. But it's good to see that him like improving and winning on stage again because he was on our team first, and I think he was a jungler that we really liked and we really admired, and we were so prepared to like stick with and him be like the next big jungler for us. Um, so it's good to kind of see him be back and actually being successful again.
yeah, and I hope it continues. I hope they can join us at Worlds with Golden Guardians. So that would be nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Who do we got this week?
So we have Evil Geniuses and FlyQuest this weekend.
Both teams who are borderline anting at this point, but especially the Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, we play Evil Geniuses is Saturday, July 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then FlyQuest is the next day, Sunday, July 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern. And the most interesting things about these two teams are that they, at the beginning of the season, they were starting off really high places in the rankings, and now they're just on this weird downward slope where they're really struggling and they're losing games, and they really don't seem to know what to do anymore.
Yeah, did you watch any of the Evil Geniuses CLG game?
I watched it. I can't remember any of it though. I remember watching it. I don't remember what happened.
Kuma played a Riven and they tried to like do this 1-3-1 comp and just did everything wrong.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah,
I think
it was
I think
troll.
Jizuke is surprisingly like Evil Genius's biggest liability, which is crazy considering when he was over in EU1 Vitality, he was looking like such a promising mid laner. But then he comes over to Evil Genius's, and now he's looking super hot and cold, and he has his moments, but he also has his struggles where he's just looking like he doesn't know what to do and he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, he did have a good split last split, and I feel like he's not performing, but he's also not performing. And
Yeah.
apparently Golden Glue just joined Evil Geniuses, so I wonder what they're gonna do. I wonder if maybe they'll try subbing Golden Glue and bringing up Huni at some point.
I was gonna ask that actually. That was gonna be my next talking point. How realistic do you think that is?
I think if they find themselves at the bottom of the playoff standings, I would honestly give it a decent chance of happening, because it seems like they don't have any faith in Kumo and Golden Glue. If they think that Golden Glue can perform at a better level than Kumo will, and that Huni is going to perform better than Jizuke, then I guess I don't see why they wouldn't do it.
I find that interesting because Kumo's actually looked really good this split. Like he doesn't look like the liability that he was last split. He's actually looks like he's playing fairly well. I could see that being done just since the Jizuke seems to be the biggest liability right now. They can sub out him for Golden Glue and put Huni in. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they did it for our match, considering
I'd be very
us.
surprised.
I wouldn't. I'm actually somewhat expecting them now to sub in Golden Glue and then put in Huni in the top lane to see if they can leverage and squeak out a win against us. I haven't paid too much attention to Academy. I'm not sure how Huni has looked in Academy. I know last time when Huni was in the LCS, he looked like garbage, and he sank Dignitas's ship pretty quickly.
I don't think it's going to happen just because Golden Glue just got signed, and I don't think they're going to flip him to play in.
Apparently, also his contract is really short, so it might be a thing of just they can't get their Academy mid laner to sub in yet. They're just using him just in case they need him to sub in.
I'd be surprised if they use their Academy mid laner. I don't know who it is, but I have a feeling that they're gonna maybe try it out, and that's why the contract is so short in scrims to see if it works. But it's not going to be this weekend, and if
it could be,
and if it was, it would be super troll.
Yeah. I think it. I guess strategically playing towards Evil Geniuses, I think our game plan is pretty cut and dry. I mean, as long as you can keep Svenskeren and Jizuke or whoever's in the mid lane down, you know, if it's the original roster, I'm doing this just from the original roster. All you have to do is make sure Svenskeren can't do anything. You know, if Svenskeren's down, he kind of struggles, and that makes his lanes struggle. And if you can also get Jizuke off of his comfort picks, which are Rise, LeBlanc, and Echo, which I'm pretty sure we will do, you know, and force Jizuke to be something that's on a more even playing field, I think that, you know, it should be an easy win. You know, make sure Licorice gets a good matchup, camp him some. You know, Sven and Vulcan have been looking like a really good bot lane. They can just play weak side and do well without a lot of attention. And I think we should be able to win. I don't think that Evil Geniuses, especially in their current form, be too hard.
No, and I think they're going to be looking to bounce back against us now that we're not immortalized as 9-0 or 10 or 12-0. Is that what we would have been?
No, we'd be 10-0.
Yeah, so I wonder if they're gonna try fun e-business at all again, like the Riven or the Cassidin or something.
The Cassidin. Get Jizuke on Karma again. I'm sure he'll love it. I'm sure he'll look great.
Or something like that. So we'll see. I think you're right. It is cut and dry. I think win everywhere.
I think the FlyQuest match is actually going to be much more interesting because their team has also been looking really weird. And this time it's from the perspective of the bot lane, just all of a sudden not working, and Ignar is just making some of the weirdest ass choices that you could possibly ever see.
Yeah, they went 0-2 last weekend, losing to 100 Thieves and Dignitas. So that's
not good.
Alarming. That's very, very bad. Who's the team that subbed in MASH? It was FlyQuest, right?
FlyQuest, yeah. Like Wild Turtle was their starter, and then they subbed in MASH to take Turtle's place. it really doesn't seem to be like having much of an impact on it. I'm like I said, Ignar has been playing really weird and kind of poorly. PoE and Santorin, I haven't paid much attention to. It seems like Solo is trying to do a lot of work, trying to get success out of FlyQuest, and his other teammates are just saying no win.
Yeah, and Power of Evil is obviously good, but it doesn't feel like they're in a good spot right now, and it should be another cut and dry win, I think.
Yeah, I think that for FlyQuest, I think all you really have to do is make sure you don't allow Ignar to make a lot of picks. I could see Blabber, having more of an emphasis towards the bottom side of the map and making sure that our bot lane's in a good spot. Maybe make sure that Licorice has a good pick against Solo, and I think that for this, maybe allow Licorice a pick that lets him, not Licorice, but Niski, allow him a pick that allows him to do his roaming thing, because I would assume Ignar would be trying to roam a lot to try to help his top laner out. So get someone that's able to answer quickly and to kind of do those plays that we like to do. And I think we should be able to win. It'll be an interesting weekend. I'm confident in the 2-0. I know that we might be a little bit shaken from the loss, but I do want to emphasize that Vulcan did have like a message at the end of like the brain check that was posted this weekend, basically saying like, hey, it sucks we lost, but we just got to try harder in scrims. We just got to be more serious with scrims and learn a lot from this. This isn't the end. We're still 9-1. We can do this. We just got to look at this loss and then move on and make sure our practice is good going forward. So I think that they can do a 2-0 weekend. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I think on paper both these games are pretty much cut and dry. We should win them pretty easily, but I want to see the team bounce back and show that they mean business. Whether I do want to see them quote unquote experiment and draft a little bit by like playing newer picks, but I also want to see 2 clean games that are done at 28 minutes as opposed.
I wouldn't mind experimenting once we actually more lock in playoffs. I think that right now it would be smarter to just play for wins and get our get us to a point where like no matter what happens, you're locked in for a good seed at playoffs, and then at that point, then we can kind of experiment more. Yeah, I think as long as you don't give Blabber J4, we should be okay.
I mean, I don't even mind the J4 pick. I just think he played like garbage. So
it's just so bad.
Maybe we'll get an Italy game this weekend.
Oh, I would actually love to see him play in Italy just because we haven't seen him play it yet, and that's been kind of a meta pick. So I think it would be good just to see. I'd really like to see how he plays in Italy. I'm certain it will just be full of aggression and him dashing in cougar form.
All right, here's a draft I want to see that we're never going to get because they won't draft it. But Jace top, Nidalee jungle, Zoe mid, Ezreal and Yuumi bot lane.
So just like hyper
just
poke.
Commit the full poke. Just for fun.
That sounds incredibly silly. They could maybe pull it off. I think that you would really have to rely on Zoe and Yuumi to land their CC, since that's the only form of pick they actually have. You'd have to really rely on your accuracy and making sure that you can chunk down the enemy before you actually make an engage. But with all of the poke, I could technically see it happening. It would be really tough to pull off, though.
Yeah, I think it has just enough disengage to be not absolutely garbage, but I think it would be fun just to see them set up around objectives and just all press Q at one time.
Endlessly volleying out spells every 5 seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be really funny.
but it's not going to happen. But that'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't have anything else to talk about.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up watch the end of this Challenger Uprising best of 5. I think it is. It actually just started. It's the first game because
Okay.
it's Wednesday night. Allegedly, one of the top laners is a former LCS player, and I don't know who it is because their names are Q Meyer and the real Philip. So
Yeah, I've
one
never
of
heard of
those
them.
guys is a former top laner, probably just with a different name. So
Schumacher could be Quas.
maybe,
Let's start with.
or was Quas old though? I'm assuming this is a guy who's like 20.
Quas is old.
Okay, probably not Quas. I'll try and find out. It's not
We'll figure it out.
important. All right.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Make sure to follow us at C9 Bodied, Twitter, and thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.